At this time, I'd like to call student Mr. Monty. Where are you? You're going to lead us in a prayer. Thank you, sir.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Most merciful God, grant me, I beseech thee, ardently to desire, prudently to study, rightfully to understand, and perfectly to fulfill that which is pleasing to thee, to the praise and glory of thy holy name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you. Yeah, that's somebody just said. That's the same old prayer we used to have. That's right. Exactly. Welcome, everyone. This is the official press conference for the kickoff of the 100th anniversary of Cathedral High School. And what a fitting day it is, because it's the same day that the Olympic torch is being lit in Greece, and it starts its trek all the way across and will go all summer long across the continent of Europe, around the world, and end up in London for the Olympic Games. So what a fitting day it is to be able to have our press conference on that same day. So you can mark that in your history books that I was there the day that they had that same thing. Oh, and there was another thing going on. I think it's called, the Olympics, Okay, let me bring up your principal, Miss Sarah Cannon, to officially welcome everybody on stage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walton, and thank you to Ryan Monty, our spiritual rep on this year's Student Council. Good morning and welcome. And I do want to also say welcome back. We have a number of alumni here with us today, some very recent, as last year, as Emily Lukasic, who's last year Student Council President and also a graduate. And we also have graduates going back to a few years, graduates who are here, even as we speak, teaching in the classrooms. Welcome also to the many invited guests who were able to schedule to be here with us this morning, and we do know that we're a number that we're also hoping to be here, but unfortunately are in other corners of the world, so we certainly keep them in our thoughts. I wish to acknowledge two former principals here today, Mrs. Nancy DiGregorio and Mrs. Ivana Fortino. And now that I have acknowledged two former principals, you heard from Mr. Walton that I am the current principal, and I am very, very proud to be the principal of this fine school. Cathedral, a school rich in past history and a school progressive and vibrant here in the present with a clear and empowering vision for the future. As a graduate, it is an honor to be here as part of the launch for the celebration of Cathedral's 100 years reunion. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to thank all who have been part of the initial planning, the Cathedral staff and students, and especially the initiative taken on by members of the steering committee. And when I do call your name, if you would please acknowledge so people will be able to familiarize themselves with the people who have worked so hard. First, our chair is the Reverend Father Phil Sherlock, who could not be with us here this morning. His duties as a pastor have called him to stay on in his parish. Mrs. Pat Lenz and Mr. Dan Maloney, Mr. Russ Morielli, Mr. Mike Morton, Mr. John Audie, Mr. Tom Potter, Mr. Joe Rigatoni, Mr. Mark Walton, and Mr. John Patarakia. A sincere note of appreciation to Mr. Matt Trabucco, the Student Council, to Mr. Chuck McMillan, Mr. Crosta, and our custodians for being a big part of the setup for this morning, to our students and staff who are assembled here this morning as well. At this time, I'd like to call upon Mrs. Ivana Fortino, who is currently Superintendent of Education, past principal of Cathedral, and a very proud alumnus of Cathedral, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mrs. Cannon, and to all the dignitaries on the platform, and to Mr. Walton, who once again has exemplified his fine leadership for this outstanding school. And yes, Cathedral, you are number one. As mentioned by Mrs. Cannon, I am indeed an alumnus and very proud of it. I was a student and graduate of 1979, don't do the math, and I also was very proud and privileged to receive a job as an educator at the Cathedral Girls High School, and then the amalgamation of Cathedral Girls and Cathedral Boys. And I was also instrumental in spearheading some of the initiatives of the alternative ed program, of which we are very proud. And then I had an opportunity to return as a vice principal, and last but not least, as the very proud principal of Cathedral High School. And now I have moved on to superintendent, and Cathedral always has a dear place in all our hearts. And I asked Mrs. Cannon for the yearbook from 1979, because in the yearbook, that is when in that year we celebrated our 50th anniversary, of which I was a grade 12 student and participated in the events, and I was also the yearbook editor that year. So all I can say is that you always bleed blue once you've entered into the Cathedral family. So as I spoke to you on many occasions about the traditions and maintaining those traditions, you will carry them forward. I have been to many places and have encountered Cathedral graduates, and when you ask them, oh, you're from Hamilton, which high school? And they say Cathedral. Oh, then right away, there's a connection, there's a network. And proudly enough, among you and your teachers, there are many Cathedral graduates who I'm sure speak to you on a daily basis. So continue to be proud of your history, and as you move on as Cathedral, carry that proud Catholic education with you, and we will continue to be alumnus together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana. And I'm notably impressed by how well behaved you are. And I can tell you, as a former teacher and student and basketball coach here at Cathedral, I'm delighted to see the class that you are exemplifying today. So please give yourselves a round of applause. I can't tell you, my friend Dermot Nolan here walked in and he said, I am absolutely amazed. As I walked in, people were holding the door open, smiling, saying good morning. I mean, that's just outstanding. Congratulations for that. Now, eventually, you'll get to meet all these people on the stage. But first up, let me introduce Mr. Frank Cosentino. And he was my grade 10 history teacher, and I was a terrible history student, but somehow I managed to pass the course. And Frank was a great man, a great coach, a great teacher, went on to do his PhD, coached at Western Ontario University, York University, and is being honored this weekend at York University. And he has written 15 books. And what we have in common is I have 15 books. I haven't finished coloring all mine, but I've got 15 for sure. It's a great pleasure to have back in our company today the legendary man, Mr. Frank Cosentino. Frank.
Mark, thank you very much. Actually, when I was a student here at Cathedral, and I should tell you that I started in Cathedral when, in 1950, there was the new wing being built at Main and Emerald, and I stayed there for until 1956. But when I was a student, I couldn't spell author, and all of a sudden I found IR1. So let me just say a couple things about Cathedral that I went to. As Mark mentioned, I did some assistant coaching in basketball. But also I played football, I played basketball while I was at Cathedral. And our high school football team was much like, I'm sure, the student body, the makeup of the student body is today. Our backfield, I was the quarterback, Frank Cosentino. Our halfback was Livio Ferracuti. Our other halfback was Miko Poliziani. Our flying wing was Dante Di Francesco. So the newspaper kept that in mind, and they called us the spaghetti backfield. Then they went along the line. Our right end was Tom Gallagher. Our right tackle was Warren McDonald. Our right guard was Ed Cummings, who you see back here, the smiling Santa Claus man. Center was Larry Morris. Left guard was Donnie Woods. Left tackle was Paul Boucher. And then Darius Javadoni was the end. So they called us the potato line and the spaghetti backfield. That was our team in 1954. And it was just a tremendous time to be a student at York. It was an all-boys school, which went to grade 12, and then the girls' school was just down the road. In grade 13, they brought the schools together and allowed boys and girls to mix. And thankfully, that's where I met my wife, and we've been married 53 years. We have 4 children. Our youngest son, Peter, is back over here, sitting down, and 12 grandchildren as well. So I don't know if I owe it all to Cathedral, but Cathedral has certainly played a huge role in my life. A couple of students that I went to school with, Dermot Nolan and Jim Maloney, are also back here as well. It's a tremendous thing to be an alumni or alumna from Cathedral. It really is, because you'll always run into people who have gone through what you're going through. They have good days and they have bad days, but they know in the long run that they're getting a top quality education that's going to prepare them for life and be prepared to make all sorts of changes in your life as it develops. And the background that you have from Cathedral is going to place you in good stead. So I congratulate Cathedral, 100 years, outstanding service to Hamilton and the surrounding community. And I agree with what Marcus said, that the student body here is, if this is typical, teaching would be a piece of cake here, right? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. And you should know that at the reunion weekend, the last weekend of September, on the Friday night there will be tents set up in the big field out the back. It'll be a pub night. People can wander around, meet a lot of their friends. And on Saturday, we're going to have a number of different events, and you can check the website to find out exactly all those details. But on Saturday, the basic format will be an opportunity for Cathedral alums to see this new building and to visit the old boys' school. Now, the girls' school is now the Atrium Villa, and the Atrium Villa has offered an opportunity for people to be able to go in there and still see some of the parts that still remain from the girls' school days. You might know that at the time of the amalgamation, before we moved over here, we had a picture taken in front of the boys' school of all the boys. All the students, we stopped the traffic on Main Street, we got the bus shelter moved. Everything happened. We took the picture of all the current boys' school students. And then we took a picture of all the girls' school students across the street. Same thing, stopped the traffic. And then when we moved into this building in '95, we got a picture of all the student body of the combined schools, one picture out behind the building here. So, Mrs. Cannon, I'm proposing to you a challenge. Where are you? There you are. A challenge to get another picture of all the students out behind the building to celebrate the 100th anniversary. Can you do it?
Absolutely.
Let's do that sometime. Now, we've been blessed by many great people, and one of those people is a guy, and I see somebody up there with crutches on, and I'm only bringing that up not to embarrass you, but the last memory I have of Tommy Swick, when I was teaching, Tommy was playing football, and he got his knee blown up, literally blown up. Some linebacker, I think. And I remember him standing out in front of the office with these crutches on, and he had just had surgery. I think there were pins inserted. It was nasty, okay? And he's on these crutches, and he's saying, Mr. Walton, I'll be ready for basketball season. No, you aren't, John. He's gone on to a great musical career. Give a warm welcome for Tommy Swick.
How you guys doing? Ooh, it's hot. Well, I gotta say, it's an honor to be here. Just standing here, looking around, these memories. I'm reliving things that I haven't even thought about in quite a long time. I'd like to say my time here at Cathedral as a student, and not a very good student in some ways. I gotta be honest. I was witness and participant in many ways to what I believe are the truths of Cathedral, the truths of how this place works and is such a great success. And why it has such a respected and long-standing reputation here in Hamilton, and pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to hear things reiterated and people saying the same things over and over here that are part of this committee up here. It's because it's the truth. It's what this place is about. This place is built on tradition, and it's something that I learned and it was instilled in us. I'm here with two other guys that were part of the same era Cathedral that I was at. And the truths are these. That just like the teachers and the students here, before my time, during my time, and after my time, like all of you, it's such a varied backgrounds and situations. People come from all over. And like you said, you had the potato line and the spaghetti line. Well, by the time I was here, we had every kind of line. People from all over the world, descendants of everything were here. And regardless of the differences, as soon as you walked through the doors here, you had to become part of a family. And it's not something that was forced, it was something that was just understood. And being a part of that family meant that you had brothers and sisters. And, I'm sure some of you being in high school, it's hard to sometimes join a family. It's hard to just believe in something. What you have here is an opportunity to create friends and connections that will never go away. We're quite a while, 13 years out of here, and we're all still friends with many of the guys. Some of the teachers here that you have were our friends. Instilled in them are the same beliefs and same ideas and ideals that we were given from people like Mr. Walt, Miss Gregorio here, who I transferred here from Hill Park in 95, and I played basketball, football, and soccer. And I remember I had, not in a good way, I skipped class, which I should never do, obviously. And I was out back playing basketball, and Mrs. DiGregorio came out and kindly reminded me that I was here to learn and not to play basketball. So I went back to class and tried to do my best at that. But the whole thing is that togetherness are key here. Becoming a family, and alongside with this great tradition, this school, more than any other school that I've ever seen, champions work ethic and an entrepreneurial spirit. People here go off, so many people go off here to start their own businesses, to become wealthy, become successful in whatever means you're in. And it encourages ideas and growth, and most of all, heart. It didn't matter if you're a big guy, there's a couple of big guys up here, there's small guys, it was all about heart. Nothing else mattered. If you tried and you bled here, the idea of bleeding blue, that's never gone away. I'm a songwriter for Warner Brothers, for Warner Chappell, and I put that in a song. It's a steel that you can't sever. I still bleed blue. And it's something that I learned here and I believe to this day. Everything I took away from the school was based on heart and perseverance. So whether it be arts or sports or medicine or business or any of the other billion possibilities in post-secondary life that you guys will have, I'm telling you, all the basic tools that you can learn that you need that you need for your future, you can learn right here from your teachers, from your other students, your friends. This place will teach you how to work with people, how to deal with people, and how to understand people. I'm honored to have been asked to be here, to stand here for you today, and to be a part of this. And really, you're part of a special alumni here, being at Cathedral, and I hope you guys appreciate that. And in time, come to see that this is a wonderful place and a great establishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to have you back here in the building, and I know my wife and I are going to come out and watch your gig some night. You're on tonight, I think. I heard about the new puppy. Yeah. All right. Dave Stella is number 88 on the Tiger Cat football team and number 1 in your heart. If you got to know Dave, like I have, he was an outstanding football player and also a heck of a basketball player. And I can tell you, as the coach, as his basketball coach in 1998, we would not have won the All-Ontario Championship without Dave Stella. Dave, you're an outstanding model for the school, and I understand you play soccer too. I saw that little kick thing you did after. Welcome back, Dave. Come on up, say a few words.
Well, first of all, I don't know if my speech is going to be as good as Tommy since he's a writer. I'm an athlete. But no, first of all, it's great to come back here to Cathedral to be part of this. I remember back in the day, it's been a while. It's been 15 years. So 15 years ago, I wouldn't have told you that I would have been up here talking in front of everybody. I was the class clown. I was the fool. My principal's right here, my basketball coach. So there might be some things I might want to tell you right now that we did in the past. Please don't try this stuff. I mean, I remember piling on in here having pile-ons, teachers getting us in trouble. We had ping pong tables here in the auditorium, skip class to play ping pong. Basketball, like Tommy talked about, skip class to play basketball. I remember pulling somebody's pants down in front of a teacher and getting suspended, which that wasn't smart. And then the other one is probably the biggest one, having boxing matches in the stairwells. So now you know what happened. That was 15 years ago, so I'm okay now. But so that's some of the things. I'm not encouraging you guys to do it, but we had a lot of fun here. That was some of the good times we had. Winning Ofsted Championship, being the best in Ontario at your sport, winning 3 football championships meant a lot to me. I played pretty much every sport here, so that's why I believe Cathedral. We were the powerhouse. That's how people still look at it. The 3 things that I think about with Cathedral is friendship. I met a lot of people, had a lot of good memories. Coach Walton taught me how to respect people, how to respect coaches. Your football coaches, your basketball coaches, your sport coaches, they don't get paid. They're here to volunteer. A lot of them volunteer their time. So have respect for them. They don't have to be here. They're trying to help you out to become better people, individuals, athletes, and that's where it started with Coach Walton. Mr. Gregorio got me out of a lot of trouble when I was young. Like I said earlier, when I was younger, I did have my bad side and got into trouble, and part of her was part of my success. So everyone I met throughout my life, pretty much Cathedral, had a part of something doing. I mean, I'm looking around, I see some teachers. These guys were my teammates when I was growing up. So they had a part of my success because they helped me to propel where I am today. So you guys look around here, you see everyone. I know not everyone's friends, but down the road, you never know when you're going to run into each other and, work together, be partners. Some of the teachers I do business with right now, and they helped me out because they were my teachers when I was younger. So just try not to burn bridges and stay friends with everyone, because you never know when you might have to cross over that bridge again. And what Cathedral meant to me, basically I said, to me, Cathedral, I think, was the powerhouse of sports, and it propelled me to do what I want to do in life. When I was telling you, I did skip class, I did do different things, but that year I failed a few classes. And I had to come back for another year to Cathedral, so slow my education down. But I went on to St. Mary's. I played football 4 years, got a marking degree, and I've been playing football for 10 years. And it wouldn't be without starting here with Coach Walton and all the coaches that helped me here. So I'm glad to be part of this tradition. And we're here, all the alumni, try to support this and keep this thing going. And it's all about tradition, and Cathedral's all about that. So thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Dave. And I'd like you to meet who is believed to be the most senior graduate still with us, Miss Helen Wood. Helen, can you come up?
I'm going to move you back to the 1930s. And when I went to Cathedral High School, the girls' school was the second floor of St. Patrick's School. We had no gymnasium, So in formation, we would go over to the boys' school, which was a nice new school, 1 block east. And that is how it went. So then if you wanted commercial, you went up to St. Vincent's, they called it, and it was on Pearl Street South, Pearl and Main Street. And guess what? They accepted both female and male students. And that was something in those days. Now, if the girls' school was taught, the Sisters of St. Joseph were complete teachers, and also at St. Vincent's. And I graduated in 1936. And that was the time of the bad depression. And as students, I had 4 good years at Cathedral. But it was our parents that had the worry of putting bread on the table that night. But when we graduated, it came home to us. There was no jobs. And it was very depressing to us. But after a couple of years, and the threat of the Third World War was coming, jobs became very plentiful, but they weren't commercial jobs. They were factory jobs. And I ended up being I think they called it a Sordelin torch welder at the Westinghouse at Wentworth Street North. And I wore my goggles, my asbestos belt, the apron, and great big gloves that were on. And I enjoyed it there. And we made fabulous money. It was 25 cents an hour. And but in those days, you were glad to get a job, and that was it. But you know, there was one thing that I was very thankful for. I took the commercial course after 2 years at St. Patrick's upstairs, and I had the training for an office job. Of course, I took the factory job when it was offered, glad to get it. But I was widowed then in my 40s. I had 4 children. 2 were self-supporting, and the other 2 were still in high school, Cathedral, of course. And so I thought, well, Ma, you got to get going and finish the education of these children. And so I took a night course at Hill Park and got a job. And I was amazed when I went to Hill Park. The speed I didn't have, but the fundamentals of bookkeeping, shorthand, typing were still there. And no matter I hadn't used it for 15 years, it was a good thing to fall back on. And so I just wanted to tell you that it will stay with you. If you don't get what you want right away, persevere, and it will come to you. And I thank you very much for allowing me to be with you tonight. Though it's not tonight, it's this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hank.
Mark, I'm just going to hijack your agenda for a minute while the microphone is set down nice and low. My name is Pat Lenz. When I went to Cathedral Girls, it was Pat Verney. I graduated in 1967. And what I want to explain, the gentleman that I just led to the stage here, apologies for him being late. I'll explain that. I met Mr. Jim Daly in probably 1965 or 66, when he came as one of the first wave of male teachers to teach at Cathedral Girls. How brave. He lasted 1 year before he went to the boys' school. And I followed him to the boys' school to take classes there with him. He introduced me to math contests at the time. Long story short, I got a master's degree in math and became a math teacher and eventually a principal. And he too went on from the classroom to be principal, of course, of Cathedral. He had been a student here too, of course, and eventually director of education of this school board. And why was he late this morning? Because he was helping students with math contests at a local elementary school. So welcome, Mr. Jim Daly.
And the really important thing about Jim Daly is he was a basketball coach. And a basketball coach of mine, so I appreciate that. Dave, you talked about coming back and your coaches and the line and all of that. It's absolutely true. Anyway, now I'd like you to meet the guy who's responsible for me learning how to text. Because if I didn't learn how to text, I couldn't have voted for him. Here's Brian Mello, everybody.
How you guys doing, all right? A little bit more on. You guys doing all right? Good, cool. You know what, I can only echo what all my peers have said today. Walking through this hallway today, I just continue to get flashbacks. My locker is right over there, and I just remember a lot of really good times here in Cathedral. And it's really funny how things in life can really happen in full circle, where, you know, when I came here, I was a pretty shy kid. And, you know, I was a singer-songwriter, but no one knew. I mean, I just did it by myself. My parents didn't even know I could sing until I was like 17. I just kept it to myself. And I remember when I was in grade 11, I went for a vocal course. And I did it because I thought it'd be an easy credit. I was like, I'll go in, I'll sing a little bit, and it's going to be good, right? And I walked in, and I didn't realize that the teacher in that room was actually going to change my life. And unfortunately, she passed away, but her name was Mrs. Gatto, Mrs. Linda Gatto. And she had a huge effect on my life because she was the first person that saw something in me before I saw anything in myself. And she started to give me solos. And the first solos I ever had, that I ever sang in public, was where I'm standing right now. And to be back here, you know, it's a really great feeling. And, you know, to see, you know, friends of mine like Dave and Tommy, and to see how far we've gone just because of the principles that we learned in this school, is something that I'll be grateful for the rest of my life. And, you know, when you're going, you know, through the motions in high school, I don't think you really understand the effect, right? Because you're just sort of experiencing things every day. And I think it's until you actually step out into the real world that you look back and understand how impactful these years will actually be for you guys. You know, I'm just going to echo what they say, I bleed blue. I found out about this 2 days ago. Someone sent me an email and said, Brian, are you able to come? I made sure to drop everything to come here. That's just because that's how important Cathedral is to me. So if you guys take anything away from here, just understand that enjoy the journey. Stop, smell the flowers. You know what I mean? You guys are going to go out and have great careers and have great lives, hopefully, you know, and make great decisions for yourself. But it all starts here. It all starts with the foundation that you guys are planting right now. You guys are planting the seeds. So, you know, create that Cathedral community that's been so great and been such a great tradition for this city for 100 years and hopefully another 100 years. So thank you guys so much. And once again, just enjoy this experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Cheers.
Thank you, Brian. I would like to really pause a moment to thank so many sponsors who have stepped forward, stepped to the plate, and made the reunion going to be already a financial success. And if there are residual funds, that will all come back to the school for all of your benefits. And some of those sponsors are people like Mike Taylor, Taylor Steel, who has donated $5,000 to this event, as has Mr. Bodwin, who you'll meet in a minute, Mr. Joe Bodwin over here you'll meet in a minute, and Fairview Chrysler, Grimsby Chrysler. They are also one of our title sponsors for $5,000. 2 classmates of mine have stepped to the plate and become gold sponsors, donating $1,500. Lawyers Jim Scarfone and Tom Rocky. Each of them have their own respective law firms here in town. So many others, Tim Hortons, First Ontario Credit Union, Bill Dermody, his brother Paul Dermody, Dermody Funeral Homes, United Trophies, Russ Morielli, who's on the committee. He used to work at the Jumbo. And if you don't know what the Jumbo is, Google it, you know. So many others, Dr. Agro, Dr. Chice, Rich Agro, did I say Rich? Home Life Realty, Valentino's, Bernie Morelli, who's sitting here, Sam Marula, Jason Farr. Although Jason went to Delta High School, he's a personal friend of mine and stepped up to the plate with a donation of $150. Steve Dunn, Titan Mortgage Group, Father Sardo, and there's a list more extensive that's to come yet. So we certainly want to thank all those corporate sponsors. Now I saved Mr. Joe Baldwin to the last because I just want to say a little bit about Joe. Joe was here in the 1940s and then never finished high school. He was 2 credits short at the time because he had to serve in the Army in World War II. 1944, and his brother was in the Army, who was 4 years his senior. Now, Joe, besides being a great benefactor to Cathedral, I can tell you that the entrepreneurial spirit that Tommy talked about, that entrepreneurial spirit under Nancy DiGregorio's leadership started an entrepreneurial program here at Cathedral, Cathedral Enterprises. That would not have happened without the financial backing of this man, Mr. Joe Baldwin. So let's welcome Joe to the stage for his presentation. Joe?
First of all, I guess I better give you this. Does this give me permission to say a few words?
It does.
It's an honor for the Baldwin family and our companies to present you with this check for $5,000. And we feel so good about it. We know it's going to be a tremendous success. And I have nothing prepared, but if I may say a few words. As Mark mentioned, I was at Cathedral from 1940 to 44 when I went in the Army. And at that time, there were 275 boy students. Some of them were young men, but we were all just good guys. All our teachers, with the exception of 2, were priests. I think it was Clint O'Neill coached the basketball team, and Matt Flynn was the other lay teacher. But all the others were priests. And I have to tell you, we learned a great deal from them, and if you didn't learn, you got a clip on the back of the head. And if when you went home you told your parents about that, you'd get another one, because they figured if a priest hit you, he had good reason for doing so. In any event, it's been my pleasure and our family's pleasure to be associated with Cathedral. Anytime I walk in this school, I just feel so good about it, and I know looking out here at all you young people that you're going to be great successes. And I would like to mention about one person who left here, a young lady by the name of Marta Jablonska. Some of you may know her or remember her, and if you don't, she is a final candidate for the Miss Canada contest, and that will be, I think, a week Saturday. It will be on TV. In any event, she's a wonderful young woman, and she came from Cathedral and went to McGill. And I look at her and I look at all you people, and you're all potential successes of this type. And I would ask only one thing: when you're out into the world and you are a success, remember all that you learned at Cathedral Heights, not only academically, but in what life is all about. Because when you finish here and you go out into what we call the real world, what you have learned here will be the greatest asset you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. And thanks again for your continued support of Cathedral. Once again, let me thank all the sponsors. I see various members of the media here and would welcome you to come and meet any of the dignitaries here, interview any of the students. And people ask me all the time, and I give coaching clinics all over North America, and people ask me all the time, what is it special about Cathedral? And I always say pretty much the same thing. I said, at Cathedral, you meet every race, every religion, every socioeconomic group, etc., etc. You find a category, they're there at Cathedral. And if you can survive at Cathedral, you can survive anywhere and make your place in this world. And one thing the committee has stated since day one is that, number one, they're so impressed with all of you, the way you are, the things that you do. Cathedral's origins are very humble. Most of the Cathedral students were orphans when in 1912. Right off the boat, orphans. I remember telling my law class one time, there were 6 county court judges. 4 of them were Cathedral grads. 4 out of 6. 3 of those 4 were sons of immigrant parents who could not speak English when they came to Canada. That's a remarkable achievement. So your lineage is there. It doesn't matter where you come from at all. It doesn't matter anything about that. It matters about what's in here and what's in your head. How much do you want it? There's an old expression, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Pretty simple. You can do it. And we want to leave, all of us here want to leave a legacy that are going to help you and maybe your younger brothers and sisters. All the Cathedral generation to come. So number one, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you to all of you people on stage for coming. Thank you to the media for representing our story. And God bless you all. We hope to see you the last weekend of September. Thank you.